Hey, so the shave we've got today is going to be using this Stirling Finest Badger. Got it on a custom handle, not custom, but non-default handle. CravingShaving. Very ergonomic, really good. My big hands really appreciate it. WR1 from Wolfman, and this is the I think the H2 handle. And this is the 50 something gap. It's a one step down from the 61, which I believe is the mid-range gap, standard gap for them. I am going to be trying a new scent, but this is Castle Forbes cream, and as you can see, it's made in Scotland. And the note I'm getting from the dry puck here is kind of a woodiness. There's maybe a little nuttiness to it. Like a cedar, but not really what most Americans would think of as a cedar. Maybe just a hint of sandalwood. Maybe that's where that nuttiness is kind of coming from. Almost maybe a sweetness to it. So we'll see how it happens when we lather it up. As you can see, it's definitely a cream. I used my 1/4 teaspoon measure yesterday, and I got maybe enough cream to fill up 2/3 of this measure, and I thinned it out too much with 5 teaspoons of water. It was still a performance lather, still gave me a nice close shave, but it wasn't creamy at all. And this is supposed to be a legendary status cream. So today, let us just get a full 1/4 teaspoon, and as close as we can get, and then we'll press that into the bottom of my lather bowl here, and we'll see what we get, because I just ended up with 3.5 passes of lather when I did it yesterday. Now everybody says that this cream lasts a long time, but if it takes a 1/4 teaspoon, that's the same as Barrister and Mann, and for their tub, it doesn't last like 5 months that some people are claiming this stuff does. So that'll just be interesting to see what happens this time. Just spreading it around. You don't have to be too careful since it's a cream, because it'll just get picked up by the brush without a problem. Sometimes with the crops that are a little bit more solid, you need to make sure they're kind of firmly anchored to the bottom of the bowl here, because if a chunk comes loose, it's likely to just be pushed around by the brush instead of acted on by the brush and scrubbed by the brush. And I've seen chunks make it through the whole lather process and not actually become part of the lather. But that's just not a problem with the creams. So 1/4 teaspoon, and so we'll see how much lather, how many extra passes maybe we'll get with a full 1/4 teaspoon. The Bolzano is the one I've been playing with lately, and Bolzano Superinox, and I've had 4 shaves with it so far, and it's not been great. It's been okay on 1 or 2 razors, but most of them, it's not been great. What I'm curious about, scientifically almost, is if I can get it into a smooth area by putting more uses on it. We'll see what happens. I may give up, I may not, I don't know. All right, so let's splash my face with a little bit of water. And then I'm going to make sure this brush is nice and soaked so that I can shake the water out and stop whenever I feel good about it. There we go. Got a little bit of water in the brush. It's a 26 millimeter knot, and so it can hold a good bit of water. It's Badger. And this is a nice, oh, it's coming up to me now, that scent. Now that's interesting. I was reading online about this, and people were saying that it really isn't the cedar scent that a lot of North Americans think about. And this is a common with the European makers, that they will use a scent that to many of us just resembles a lumberyard or a trip to Lowe's Home Improvement, you know. And that's a lot of times a little bit disappointing for us, because that seems like a commonplace scent. Now this one does not really take me there. Some people say hint of sandalwood, and to me it's sweetening it up a little bit. I mean, if this works out, this might be a good scent for me to keep. But this is an expensive soap. It's $40 or so, unless you buy it used, for the soap. Now, some people are saying it's not as bad as you think, because it can be extended longer than a lot of the artisan croaks, because just it's more concentrated. Little goes a long way, you know, that sort of thing. But I'm using a 1/4 teaspoon right now. It better give me like 3 extra passes of lather, otherwise I can't really see it going too much further than Barrister and Man, or, you know, Holy Cow, or Noble Otter, Declaration Grooming. All those guys require the same amount. So we've got 2 teaspoons in it. Last time I put 5 in it, but I had less soap product. So we'll just see. We'll watch it a little bit more carefully. I'll remember that the appearance of the lather is not what I need to focus on with this particular one. I don't want to get it to a super elastic point, because that'll be a little too thin. So starting off, got a nice clod here. As you can see, look at that piece hanging out right there. Still easily supports its weight. Got a good bit of structure to it. I'm gonna put in another teaspoon. Because I have more soap, 4 teaspoons, maybe even 5 might be about the right measurement, because I altered my ratio with the soap. So right now we've got 3. I'm just going to add a 1/2 teaspoon at a time at this point. See if we can get a nice creamy lather. Looks like we're going to have plenty in terms of quantity. And after this one, I'm going to do a little finger test and see how slippery it is. See how it feels when I squeeze it together. Okay, let's take a look now and just see kind of how it looks. Now notice this. Less contour. Look at that, kind of a solid surface. Not very many hills and valleys. I can wiggle it and then look, it'll drop. So it is definitely on the creamy side right now. Let's just take a feel. You know, that doesn't really feel, you know, too much better than a bunch of other artisan croaks, to be honest with you. It doesn't, maybe, no, I think some of the reviews I was reading were pretty current, pretty contemporary. Let's, there's some elasticity. Let's stop now. I don't want to overwater it again. I'd rather underwater it and then add some water to the lather after the first pass, or something like that. So let's try that. So again, let's look at what we have just visually. There's some elasticity there. The guy right there falling in, collapsing on himself. So that's promising. All right. This brush has also got a little bit more backbone than I usually like, so I'm looking forward to putting some uses on it, see if it'll relax a little bit. I may have to yank the knot out, raise it a little higher by putting a plastic washer under the knot, silicone, stick it all back together, and so it can open up a little bit more. That might be what I have to do. We'll see. All right, woody, a little bit of sandalwood, mostly kind of a cedar wood. See how it works. Kind of a, not really scritchy, it's kind of a soft scrub. It stays in the splay pretty well sometimes. So right now I'm cleaning my skin. And it's not too bad. When I'm doing the splay here and the circles, then it's kind of like that, and as it's okay that it's thin right here, as long as when I start to take the soap from the sides and start to swipe like that, that can straighten everything out, and it's all good. But if there's nothing on the side of the brush, then maybe you have not included enough soap in your mix. Also, I've got oily skin, and so that can kind of kill a little bit of the lather on the first pass. It'll be gone by this second pass. And so that means sometimes I just go back in, grab a little bit more lather from the bowl. And see what that gives me. If you're new to this, we're not looking for a big old Santa Claus beard type lather that you might be used to from the canned foam, because that's the only way it comes out. We want something a little thinner than that. All right. So this is 3½ teaspoons of water for that 1/4 teaspoon of soap. Let's see how that works out. Very lightly scented right now. I'm not stirring up the air anymore. But it's a nice twist. It's that little bit of sandalwood in there is really helping the cedar out. Again, it's not that American cedar. I don't actually like that typical cedar that you might find in a lot of the American crops. It is more just like a woodiness, a standard wood scent, and so that's being sweetened a little bit. I kind of like it. Ooh. Now this feels good. This may be the best razor so far for this blade. Now in other razors, this Bolzano has cut well, but it hasn't done it this comfortably. It goes to show you, the blade may be a bad one for you, but that's not a global statement. I mean, it's possible that it is, but if you don't try it with all your razors, you may be missing out. Well, normal 1-day growth is what we're shaving off here. This razor clamps down really nicely right toward the blade edge, and so that you don't hear a lot of the blade. There's not a lot of the chatter and audio feedback, and that's the way I like it. And to me, it makes for a smoother shave, more consistent, because, you know, the chatter comes from vibration. So if the blade edge is vibrating, then that means it's not moving across your skin in a predictable way. All right, let's rinse this off. All right, let's grab the bowl, load up enough lather for the second pass. Kind of a half rinse, not a complete rinse, but that first one was definitely not a creamy rinse. I'll bet this one will be a little bit different. I did take this brush and put a big old lather of Mitchell's wool fat on it and let it sit for 24 hours and see if that would alter it a little bit, break it in a little bit. I don't think it did very much. Second pass, cross grain on the cheeks. Definitely not the smoothest blade that I've used in this razor, but it is the nicest I've ever felt from a Bolzano. So maybe if I have some other razors that kind of resemble the geometry and the structure of this head, the Razor Rock Game Changer kind of is similar. The 68 was the first one that came out. It was really mild, and I did not like it at all. It was too mild for me. And so I got the next one up, the head for the next one up. 84, I think, was the gap on that one, and that one was a pretty good razor, so maybe I'll try it on it, this Bolzano on it next. And rinse. So this is definitely a leaner, a thicker mixture, drier, if you will, being a relative term, of this cream, and I'm not all that impressed by it. Definitely have gotten better performance from, you know, the other type soaps I've mentioned. Even, to be honest, even Stirling, it's an excellent budget soap. For $15 or something like that, you get almost 6 ounces of product. It's crazy. Since my first 2 passes were a little bit on the wet side, and it wasn't all that creamy, I thought I would actually dry my skin before this so that I didn't have any water. Now this lather is looking a lot nicer. Who knows, maybe I still got it a little too wet. Who knows? All right. I haven't really had any irritation feeling from this combo of razor and blade. So I could definitely shave with this one. Wouldn't mind. I mean, it's got its rough spots, especially on my neck. It's more sensitive. But I could shave with this. Wouldn't have too much of a problem with it on, you know, if some emergency happened and this is all I had on a desert island or whatever. I definitely would not have said that about it prior to the shave. All right, let's rinse. So again, with the closeness of the shave I'm getting, the comfort may not be as good as other blades for me, but the closeness is really good. And so the results are nice for this one. The feel of the soap, again, I remain unimpressed. It's supposed to be legendary, but it just isn't to me. Maybe the 3.5 teaspoons is too watery for it. So maybe I could back down on that and see. I believe I've got a pass, maybe 2. It's kind of thin, as you can see. I mean, it's not too thin, but you know, maybe 2 passes left. But this is kind of the amount of margin that I might like to see with most of my soaps. And so to me, the quantity I'm using per shave is pretty much equivalent to those other premium soap tubs of Barrister Man and Declaration and all those guys. And so that means to me this isn't going to be one that is a lot more efficient and economical. So I'm glad I tried it out. It's good to try it. But I wonder. Now, since it's a cream though, I don't know. Since it's cream though, is it lighter? Because I believe it's packaged by weight. And so if 4 ounces of this gives you more volume, then maybe it is more economical slightly than an artisan crope of the American nature. But at such a price difference, I'm gonna have to call this a pass at this point, but it did deliver a nice slick feel. My razor had nice glide. Still a little bit of irritation, and this is the spot. If I get irritation, it's usually around here. It's just a sensitive area, and that's just the blade. That's the blade. So how about that? I don't think I would come anywhere near the purchase of a full retail puck tub of the Castle Forbes. I think I like this scent a lot better. It was really light, very light to around me during the shave. Not quite as present, but it's almost like a whisper of an environment and of a woodiness, and I like that. And so this scent almost lends itself to a more subdued scent, like a few of them out there. And so I'm happy about, I'm okay with this low level of scent strength. Usually I do like it higher, but it just gives you a little ambiance, not a thick cloud, if you will. And so I'm happy with that part of it. Just the performance isn't quite as much as I think it may have been touted to be. So I just finished dropping this brush, and as you can see, it has poofed out pretty nicely. It's a pretty dense brush, to be honest with you. It's very soft. The tips are nice. Will it be too dense for me? I don't know. We'll just keep playing with it. If it relaxes a little bit more, I think I'll be a happy camper. And I bet it will. I think it will. But my fallback, like I said, is to yank the knot out and put a little riser in there, basically, to let more of it fall over, increase the loft, and I think that will do it. But I continue to love the ergonomics of this handle. I mainly grab the top knob part here when I'm in the mixing process, but then I can hold it by this position when I'm lathering up like that, tuck the bulb part into my palm, and maybe lift that front finger right up there. And I like the way this is more curved instead of being kind of sharp like so many of the makers, because then it's comfortable for my finger there to be up there if I happen to use that position. I don't know exactly which one I use when I'm shaving, but it feels natural. It feels a part of my hand, and so that means it's a good ergonomic matchup. Really happy with it. Pretty new knot, just maybe 5 uses on it, something like that. So It could change a little bit over time here. Badgers don't change nearly as much as boars do, but sometimes they change a little. So don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that this cream is kind of a slouch. It's a good cream, it seems, but at the price tag, what they're asking for it, I feel like it needs to be better. Let's just put it that way. It's been several minutes now since I quit shaving, since I dried myself off, and the skin feel is nice. I could definitely walk away from this shave without any post-shave product, no moisturizers or anything like that. So there's not really a drying effect or anything like that. So this cream has that going for it. Very nice. I have oily skin, so I have a little bit of an advantage in that, but still, it's that's something to be said for it. Just for some scent, and because this Bolzano blade wasn't quite as nice as some others, I'm going to go ahead and throw on a little Stirling balm. This is the Tuscany, and it's kind of a wild cherry scent, if you will. We'll see if it makes the cedar and sandalwood totally disappear, or contributes with it, works with it, or overtakes it. We'll see. We're pretty cleaned up, so shave summary, pretty good. I don't have any irritation right now, and that is a lot better than the last few shaves I've had with this blade. And it was a joy to use the Wolfman again. I really like that gap, just one notch down from the standard, with the mid-range there gap, and it's just got a lot of comfort while still being efficient. I got a nice close shave, so that Bolzano is definitely capable of doing that. And I've already kind of talked a little bit about the cream, and the brush. Well, yeah, I talked about that too, so I think we're good. It's a good shave to walk away from. It was good to try. I was pleasantly surprised at the scent. When I first smelled it, it just smelled just like a straight woody, just like a home improvement warehouse. But then as I smelled it today again, and then as I smelled it during the actual shave, I started to appreciate the sweeter notes that were a part of it, and that really changed the profile for me. So I actually kind of like the scent a little bit. So that's something good to know. Maybe I'll blend some things in the future, maybe not with this particular cream, but I may also revisit Stirling's Sandalwood. My first impression was that it wasn't that great, because it's not. I generally prefer the drier sandalwoods, but theirs is kind of sweet and more muted, and so maybe I'll revisit them and see if I can appreciate them in a different way. But I think I have a little bit more of that sample hanging around. So there we go. We're good. So I hope there was something here for you. So now I've got 2 shaves on the books with Castle Forbes creams. A lot of people like their lime and their lavender. I might try the lime. Lavender's not for me. But I hope this was something that helped you out. You take care. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Good night.